from Julio Cruz and Gaylord Perry to Alvin Davis and Harold Reynolds to father and son back-to-back bombs, from Junior J, Joey, and Edgar with Randy, A-Rod, Dan, and the Sheriff, to Ichiro Moyer and Mikey C, to King Felix, Kyle Cruz, and Cano, to the present with Julio, Gilbert, Kirby, and Cal. I don't believe it. It just continues. My, oh my, it's another sports podcast. My, oh my, we got a bunch of football to get into. The Mariners have been sitting on the sidelines every single Sunday evening at 5:30. I hope to hop on with my homie RG and talk about the Mariners' big move. But let's just skip right into it right away, man. I know that you got some shit on your chest, and you got to say it proudly, man.
I ain't bad. Just don't kiss no ass and take shit. I'm a grown man. Find you somebody to play with. If you don't like me when you see me, better not say shit, because I'll choke your ass out like Dre did that bitch. My oh my, it's another sports podcast. The homie Ty Talks rocking with you. I'm that dude RG coming live from the Cinco Cero Cinco. Big day today for my Philadelphia Eagles. Wasn't pretty by any means. If you are a fan of offensive football, stats, moving the ball up and down the field, if you like your pro football to look like Madden, you pretty much wasted 3.5 hours. You need a game to be won in the trenches. That's where we was at today. You need a game to be won by defense. That's where we were at today. You need a game to be marred by a bunch of injuries. That's where we were at today. But at the end of it, the Eagles survived. The Green Bay Packers 22-10 on to round 2, baby. It's time to go to work.
Let's just keep it real right now, man. Philadelphia football in the middle of January is not supposed to be pretty. It's not supposed to be elegant. It is going to be smash mouth football, whether you have Andy Reid, Nick Sirianni, Ray Rhodes. I mean, it don't matter.
Dick
there
Vermeil.
It is. That was my brain fart. Was Buddy Ryan?
It's just what it is. You know, I feel you, Tay Williams. The TikTok fans hated that game, but the OGs know what's up. Before they made the rule changes to make this game more offensive friendly, you were getting your fair 6-3s in the playoffs. It's just that time of year, man. Everybody is banged up with injuries. You're going to lose guys along the way. The weather's nice, and go out there and run into somebody 22 miles an hour wearing pads and 20-degree weather and see how you feel at the end of it. But it's that time of year where the NFL is hot, man, and thank God we survived today. Thank God we survived.
Survive in advance. That's all you got to do, man. Nobody looks back at the champion and dissects every single win by how pretty or not. And I got to give a huge shout out Texas Power Ranger. Oh, man, the Eagles look fast and ferocious. So do the Texans. There's so many different things to look at, including the Ohio State Buckeyes advancing to the championship. Tommy coming through big time. He was calling Notre Dame. I'm laughing. The live chat's laughing. But you were right, dog. That is a damn good team. And I want to give some huge props to Marcus Freeman right now, head coach of Notre Dame. Brian Kelly left to LSU, and on his way out the door, he was saying that they didn't have the resources or the manpower to compete for a chip up in Notre Dame. That's why I went to the SEC. Great job, Freeman. Coach Freeman, college coach of the year, hands down in my opinion. And he didn't talk. He didn't cry. All he did was lead those young men to an opportunity to win it all when a lot of people like me were talking that shit like, who'd you really beat?
He absolutely is showing that he might be the best leader in college football right now. Just the best leader of men that's showcased in this last Final Four, in my opinion. To see them be able to battle through the adversity, because to me, that's kind of what I look for this time of year too. If you got that dog in you, that dog is going to come out. And yes, all the prettiness of the SEC may be wiped out of this tournament, But man, I'm dude just the dog that Notre Dame has shown in their last two games. I wasn't a big fan of Riley Leonard. I did watch some of his earlier career when he played at Duke, since he's in the ACC with my Florida State Seminoles. But man, just to be able to make the play that's necessary when it's time to make the play, because the guy who was getting all the hype in that game of, oh, he's climbing up draft boards, he's being reevaluated, he might have made a horrible decision at the very end of that game, throwing that ball across the middle. And even Greg McElroy, who maybe had a cup of tea in the NFL, but he's won a national championship. He knows what it takes to be able to get there. Just absolutely, as soon as that decision is made, is that's the worst decision you could have ever made. You just cost your team the game. And Notre Dame went right on down and took it from them. But it's going to be an exciting national championship. We still got to suffer through 10 days of, well, 9 days of just waiting and anticipation. But next Monday night is going down in the A between the Buckeyes and the Irish. And I want to be the first to put on this Brodeo program. Let's go Irish. Enough of that Big Ten Ohio State bullshit.
You know, I've been waxed talking shit about the SEC, but I got to keep it real. I'm talking about this year. They're just like the Texas Rangers, just like the Boston Red Sox, hopefully the Seattle Mariners. Teams can bounce back and they can bounce back quickly. Tay's talking about there wasn't a TikTok game in the Philadelphia Green Bay game, and I would say that kind of overall. And it just shows you how football changes with the weather. It changes with the intensity, the attention to details, and and just going on intensity, RG, man, on that kick coverage to open the game, helmet on the ball, perfect form tackle, jack the dude up, start your team off on the right foot. You knew it was going to be a slobber knocker from literally the very first hit, and I absolutely love it. And just a little bit more, man. I know I'm going crazy on Marcus Freeman, but these are the facts. Ohio State has way better players. Texas has way better players. Georgia has better players. You know what Notre Dame does? They play as a team and they execute in the big moments, and that's what really matters. And that's also why we love sports, dude. And we love underdogs playing Goliaths, because it's not always the quote most talented team that wins the game. It's the team that plays the best together and executes in the critical moments. And that's how you get it done, baby. And I think there's no thing. It's going to be really fun to see what happens in the college national championship. But unbelievable weekend, dude, because we literally have never had this before, where Thursday through Monday will be playoff football in one form, whether it be college or NFL, and the American sports fan has been salivating for this.
Yeah, it was definitely good. Definitely good. Definitely fun from a fan perspective. Just hard knocks everywhere. Some good D being played, man. To the Philly game, that opening possession basically carried us to victory over the course of the game. Jalen Hurts, to me, I remember throwing up in our group chat, looked like he was still hurt a little bit, looked like he was still lingering the effects. But he also hadn't thrown a pass in almost 3 to 4 weeks as well, too. So maybe he did have a little bit of rust he needed to get off. 13 for 21 for 131 yards is really, really brutal. If you were looking for excitement of moving the ball up and down the field, he did have 2 touchdown passes. The one that Dallas Goedert was just man versus child, just to take you down the yard, to take you down the field 30 yards, just stiff arming you every chance you thought you had had a position to tackle him, was just fun to watch, man. Saquon Barkley had his good game. Now, the run at the very end of the game is going to make his stats look a little bit better than what they were. But in that tough game, he did go out and earn 100 yards rushing, and Green Bay has a really good rush defense. Green Bay does have a really good defense against the rush, so he did go out and earn his. And for those of you who like to put a little bit of something on something like I like to, I really hope you didn't have a Saquon anytime, last offensive play of the game. Dude is ain't nobody near him, and just to not be a jerk, he took a knee, and you know how that goes. That's victory formation for some, and that's a lot of pain for others.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Yo, Tyson Baxter's hopping on with us, man, and we are going to talk all the games at some point or the other. We wanted to start with the Eagles because that's RG's big love. You know, Tyson was just asking, man. I always ask you every so often. It's a wonderful family story, man. Just tell us really quickly why you became such a huge Eagles fan.
All right, so my uncle John Wooten, and you can go on ahead and Google him if you want to fact check me. My uncle John Wooten was blessed to be from Carlsbad, New Mexico, where I'm from. He played for the Browns in the 60s, was the offensive lineman during the Jim Brown days. During his post-playing career, he was with Dallas during the Landry years. After Dallas got rid of him, he went to Philadelphia around the time that I was born, became head of player personnel, drafted my favorite Eagle of all time, Brian Dawkins. Then from there, he went to Baltimore and was with Baltimore for their 2000 championship. And then he spent the last 10 years before his retirement 5 years ago being the head of the Fritz Pollard Alliance that helps minority candidates get interviews for coaching positions that open and try to help spread diversity among the game. So I'm real proud of that. Um, his favorite Super Bowl ring that he has of mine is the one for Baltimore in 2000. That thing is so chunky and so huge, and I've been lucky enough to get to wear it with him at his Super Bowl parties twice in my lifetime. Just supporting him. So, nah, man, we try to touch on everything. Tyson Baxter, glad to see a new name following us in the chat tonight. But yeah, man, let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens a little bit, man. So it came out earlier this week that Lamar Jackson, all-pro quarterback, and the same people that vote for all-pro are the same people that vote for MVP. So that just to me says that in 3 weeks, the cat's kind of out of the bag, and your NFL MVP should absolutely be Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they look fantastic also. There's some teams that didn't look very good, but just like I predicted, man, and it's still not rocket science. I'm not going out on a limb. If they get Derrick Henry rolling, they can beat anybody. And then the other huge factor too is although their defense was porous and really struggling the first half of the season, in 9 of their last 10 games, RG, they've given up 24 points or less, and that 24 was to your Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
So their defense has really turned it around. It's going to take a fast, physical defense to take on the Ravens, but I just love them so much right now, though, because what the hell do you do? Lamar is Lamar. You now have King Henry side by side with them. So either way, you're screwed in the running game because you can either crash on Henry or play it safe on Lamar Jackson. And God forbid you're able to slow down and contain their run. Now you have to deal with the passing game, which Lamar Jackson posted a passer rating over 120 this year. Absolutely unbelievable. Dude deserves I say deserves to be the MVP again. This is no disrespect to Josh Allen. You know I both think that those two guys are already locked down Hall of Famers. Would a ring or two for each of them help their case tremendously? Yeah, but like Charles Barkley said, man, there's level to this shit when you look at Hall of Famers. There's plenty of Hall of Famers that might not have the ring, but they could still be in the Dan Marino type of category. But both those dudes are already there, and another thing I like about Lamar is, at least for the most part, he's starting to manage the game better. And for some time down the line of football knowledge and football fandom, RG, it became a huge negative to be called a game manager in football. But managing the game is a crucial element. Drew Aller failed to manage the game and threw an interception in the most critical moment. In your game on Sunday, Jordan Love threw 3 interceptions while he probably had more yards and a higher completion percentage than Jalen. Jalen did not put the ball in harm's way. I felt there was a couple of out routes he could have tried to maybe squeeze it in there, airmailed it to the sidelines, because you know your defense is playing lights out, knock 'em out football. And I just loved, and another one, the Houston Texans, Texas Power Ranger. That was the other example. CJ Stroud did a much better job of managing the game, not putting the ball in harm's way. And look what team won in all of those instances. So I want to take away the stigma that being a game manager is a bad thing, because a huge element of being a quarterback is managing the game to give your team a chance to win. But man, what a fun weekend. And one more before I throw it to you on the low block. We really found out about contenders and pretenders, though, because there was a lot of blowouts.
We sure did. We sure did. I like Justin Herbert. I do. I think that Justin Herbert is a really good quarterback. Justin Herbert just wasn't ready for what this was, making terrible decisions back there. And like you said, just how can I say it differently? Shannon Sharp likes to say, your play can also take victory out of the jaws of defeat, or your play can take defeat out of the jaws of victory. And that's exactly what we saw with Drew Allard not being able, when the moment got too big for him. We seen that with Herbert pressing way too much. We seen that with Jordan Love. I mean, this isn't, of course, I'm going to knock on the Cowboys any chance that I get, but we aren't the Cowboys, dog. There's like you said, there's absolute levels to this. And why I may not like Nick Fangio's bend but don't break defensive philosophies at times, we have the personnel to be able to cause chaos on the line and to rush you into some certain position, certain position you may not want to be in. Thank God for big play Slay, because that easily could have been pass interference, but he looked up right at the right time, put his arms up, and it looked like that route was meant for him. Zach Brom is the one on our defense who is earning every dollar that he's about to make in the offseason. A 1-year contract, to have someone just take a chance on you, and then you're going to turn into an all-pro on the number one defense in the league and get yourself an interception today when the world is watching. Shout out to dudes like that, man. Playoff football is very intense. Let's also keep in mind, too, while I'm going over how Jalen's numbers weren't the greatest today, Ben Roethlisberger won the Super Bowl going 9 for 22, only passing for 120 yards. Oh,
You see that. For y'all that might be listening on the podcast format, this is a big middle finger to my great friend RG. Because in the worst Super Bowl performance by a winning quarterback ever was against my beloved Seahawks. I digress. Go ahead, bro.
I love it, man. I love it. I love it. But yeah, man, just it really was a team effort today. That defense showed out, and it gave us a chance to advance to next week.
It's critical. It's critical to really take care of the football at all times. Turnovers are easily the most key stat correlated to winning and losing. But man, I'm jealous though. I'm jealous because I'm a sucker for a fast and physical defense. And don't get me wrong, I don't like slow defenses either. You can be a really good defense and be kind of slow. It's not going to wet my whistle. I just am a sucker for fast and physical defenses, just like I love power pitchers. Sometimes there's just something that's more appeasing to the eye, and football's meant to beat you down. And just on the other side of the ball, going back to offense, I've just found that the running game has gotten more creative with more throwback wrinkles, and I love that also.
What I really, really find interesting, and I'm going to give him his love and respect today too. Josh Jacobs is a beast. Josh Jacobs is a beast. And Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, a resurgence of the importance of the running back position is back. But again, you have to have a certain type of player to fit that mold to be able to do what they do. And just given the chance to get back to running the ball, just those three guys have made running backs valuable again. Now you were talking about fast defense, and the one game we really, really didn't get into. We saw what a fast defense can do to a high-powered offense by the way the Texas Notre Dame game, by the way the Texas Ohio State game ended. Steve Sarkisian, for some reason, with his great offensive mind, decided that a pitch to the outside was going to be the best way to try to penetrate Ohio State's defense. And by the time the pitch was made, 3 players all ready for him. Just a fast defense covers. So just when they attack and run the ball like that, it's fucking magical to watch, man. Absolutely magical to watch. So just know your personnel. Know your personnel. And they had no chance to attack Ohio. They had no chance to attack Ohio State. They weren't going to be able to run in the trenches with him. Trying to go outside was they got ate up, man. They completely got ate up. Just it reminded me of watching like Baltimore's old defense, where all of a sudden 6 guys are here. It's like, where the hell did they all come from? Just unbelievable speed. Let's get into the chat here for a little bit. Tyson Baxter, wow, the great John Wooten is your uncle. The Ravens ties to the Browns has sent me down many football history rabbit holes that have included him. That's awesome history. I will subscribe. Hey, got a subscriber, man. Thanks. You're welcome to join the family. We're here every Sunday. God willing. Texas Power Ranger Stroud has struggled at times, but I hope he continues to protect the ball. Next week, hey, protecting the ball is huge right now. It's the difference on why certain teams advanced and why certain teams didn't, i.e. the Chargers and the Packers. The Eagles' trenches outmatch anyone else left in the playoffs. Hey, man, we got some hosses up there. We absolutely got some hosses up there. A future first ballot Hall of Famer with Lane Johnson. What's going to be really, really important moving forward for us is going to be health. Not a lot of depth. And you saw that with Green Bay once they had to start going down their depth chart, holding after holding after holding, and frustration setting in and unsportsmanlike penalties. And you just don't want to put yourself in a position like that this deep in the playoffs. Braun is a beast. Wasn't he a pass rusher? I got to be honest, I didn't do a whole lot of research about where he came from and what he is. You know the way that I look at it. Once you're on the team, you got one thing to prove to me. Can you go out there and dominate and perform? And he's been doing that. Tyson again asked a question. If you had an MVP vote, who would you cast the vote for? I'm going Lamar. 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. 900 fucking rushing yards. No, I'm going Lamar, hands down. And you know how I like to say, to be the man, you got to beat the man. Didn't Baltimore and Buffalo go heads up and Baltimore kind of tapped that ass this year too? I'm going Lamar. Joe Mixon is helped. Dude, Joe Mixon was like the perfect pickup for the Texans. I even at the end of the game heard Damian Priest, is it Priest? Is it Damian Priest? Heard him get a rushing attempt at the end of the game. We completely forgot he was on the fucking team just because
that dude's a beast,
Joe
too.
Mixon has done so well in that position for him. So Pierce, yeah. Damian Priest, that's a wrestler. that's a wrestler. Yeah, man, Damian Pierce. I forgot he was even on the team just because Mixon has just been a little bit of everything that Houston has been. So hopefully that does help some other guys get some run and some looks at. Hopefully that will alter the way that everything is just so quarterback centric with the way that things are valued as far as putting teams together. But hey, man, I'm happy to have Saquon. I will say again, the MVP of the league is probably John Mara and Joe Sheen for being stupid enough to let Saquon come to the Eagles in the first place. Talk to him.
That's gonna go down as a couple of the greatest videos ever. And then the other one I love from the Hard Knocks in the off season with the Giants, and you know my stance. The owners and the PR staffs for all these football teams can tell Hard Knocks anything they don't want shown on TV. So the ownership clearly wanted to have their hands clean if it all went awry. And For me, MVP, I go Lamar, Josh Allen, and I want to go Saquon, but I also can't count out Patrick Mahomes because to me, stats aren't everything. And for a quarterback, uh, in the NFL, where like 80% of the games are one score ball games, can your quarterback make the critical plays when it matters? And Mahomes does that over and over, but clearly Lamar, Josh Allen, then maybe Saquon, then Mahomes and Saquon, however you want to value it. But you're right, RG. I mean, Lamar's out there playing Madden on rookie right now. This shit's ridiculous. It's going to take a fantastic defense plus a fantastic offense to push Baltimore out of their comfort zone so maybe they can get a pick or two because if you don't get Baltimore out of their comfort zone, they're going to get you. I know what you're thinking. Your Eagles already proved they can do that. Maybe they could do it one more time and get this whole thing done.
Well, for us to get a shot, at that, we still have to win 3 games. But the guy who might get a shot at it before we get a shot at it is the man that you mentioned, who no one is talking about deserving MVP this year, and that's Patrick Mahomes. How is a guy that has won the last 2 Super Bowls and has a 15-1 team not part of this conversation? And I get it. It's because most of the talking heads and people who are in position like me and you are very, very stat hungry. Are you throwing the ball down the field? Are you giving us something good to watch? Are you providing us with great highlights? Are you dominating while you're standing back there behind the center? Well, for as good as a year as Lamar has had, as good as a year as Josh Allen has had, Patrick Mahomes is still the quarterback of the best team in the league, who is 15-1 right now. Absolutely a travesty that he's not mentioned in the MVP race this year. Absolutely a travesty. And maybe we can be the guys who aren't going to just fall into this offensive love affair with stats the way that everything has changed over the last few years and be the first to give Patty his due. That guy is the most valuable player in the National Football League.
Okay, Sunday evening and Tay. I see this the most in the NBA throughout my life, and there is a real thing as voter fatigue, man. And I really wish it didn't happen, but I get it. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna give Michael Jordan 10 straight MVPs? I mean, someone else has got to win the award at some point. So that shit really does happen. But like I always say, man, regular season stats matter for regular season awards. RG, do we give a shit about how many regular season home runs Aaron Judge hit when he hit 050 in the World Series? Do we care about Lamar Jackson's stats in the playoffs if he doesn't come through in the biggest moments? No, but we're talking about regular season, and a couple of these guys have stood out from the rest. And you know who my favorite basketball player ever is. None other than Gary the Glove Payton would always say John Stockton was the better player, but there was times I had the better season and should have been the starter for the All-Star game. And that's how I view a lot of this. Sometimes a guy might not be the better player or had the better career, but he damn sure had the better season. And there's no way anyone can convince me otherwise amongst the top quarterbacks this year.
Well, you said an NBA reference, and I'm old enough to remember coming off of the original Dream Team. The best player on that team was Charles Barkley, and then it translated into Charles Barkley winning the NBA MVP that year, which also gave fuel to a fire named Michael Jeffrey Jordan, who said, "Fuck that! Any chance I get to bust your ass, I'm coming to bust your ass." And when we met up with Chicago in the finals that year, being a Suns fan, Jordan averaged 40 points a game. just, just to be like, no, man, this is still my world you revolve around in. And to me, that's kind of what I miss about the way that everybody is AAU friends and just buddies on the outside. and they're worried about their social media brands. I get what they say. Mahomes sucks as a personality, but can't say he sucks as a player. You sure as hell can't, man. You really can't. And I think he might be the one on the outside that's not extremely worried about the brand and the investments on the outside, because what he's here doing is trying to chase Tom Brady down. But what it also is going to provide is some good TV as we move forward over the next 3 weeks to get to not only the national championship next Monday for college football, but also as we move closer to February 9th to see who's going to earn the right to play in the Super Bowl.
Well, here's another huge factor. I think this for the top few teams in the AFC, just because to me there's such a discrepancy between the top three and the rest. But Kansas City getting home field advantage is crucial again. I mean, how many points is Kansas City's home field worth? It's got to be more than the average 3 points. That's just my opinion. And then take it up here to my beloved Seattle Seahawks. This shit matters for a lot of teams and a lot of stadiums. The Seahawks have got the number one seed 3 times, and they made the Super Bowl 3 times. So for a lot of franchises, there is absolutely a direct correlation between having all the home games and being able to reach the Super Bowl.
And also, too, what I like about it in the story is twice with home field advantage, he's been beaten. It's not that it can't happen, just you have to be able to go in there and do it. Brady was able to do it, and then they went and won a ring. Burrow was able to do it, and then they fell short. Can I love wrestling. I love wrestling, and I love Ric Flair. So I'm going to go back to my Ric Flair saying, to be the man, you have to beat the man. And until somebody goes in the Arrowhead and wipes him out of the playoffs, that dude's the man. Even without home field advantage last year, which was going to be the biggest knock about this dude. Can you do it if you don't get every game in Arrowhead? Who held the trophy up at the end of the season not having home field advantage? Patty Mack, baby.
That was a career and team defining win.
Be tired of him all you want. Yeah, be tired of him all you want until you have the plan and the team to be able to get him up out of there. Get used to watching it.
Sheesh. And to think that we all thought they were crazy when they traded Tyreek Hill.
That reminds me of like with the Astros getting rid of Correa and Springer. And it's like, well, what are you guys going to go do? And all they do is just retool. All they do is just retool. And now you see Tyreek is whining and screaming because he now has to live life not inside the playoffs, and he wants nothing to do with that. To him, he has to be relevant in the playoff mix to try to get to where he can prove that, hey, I got one without them too. But that's just not going down like that right now. I get the whole Shaq and Kobe comparison, but Shaq and Kobe also won rings without each other. Tyreek Hill is searching for his moment to be able to do that, to scream, hey, you guys needed me. But to me, that just falls on deaf ears because obviously they don't. Pacheco with the broken leg the majority of the year, and they're still winning games. He even spun the block and went back to their ex and re-signed Kareem Hunt and still winning games. Still winning games. And yeah, Taxon, I feel you, man. Myself, I'm 41, but I got to tell you, man, he's one of the most talented. He's one of the most talented. One more puts him there with Montana and Bradshaw. He already has more than Peyton.
I mean, what is there? Only 3 quarterbacks have more Super Bowl wins than Mahomes already. Plus, if we look, his statistical brilliance is unbelievable. And then just the eye test. How frustrating would it be a defense playing him? How many times he pulls a rabbit out of the hat? And third down conversions, super critical. How many freaking times do you think you have that guy sacked? Do you think you have everything bottled up? He somehow flips it, runs it, throws dimes all over. He is one of the more incredible players I've ever seen. And I think Honestly, the thing that turned me off from him, although I still respect the hell out of him, is he's got a little bit of NBA to him. Just a little too much whining to the ref for my taste. But you know what? I get it, man. You're trying to win and you're also a superstar. You're going to get those calls, man. The greatest basketball player ever, Michael Jordan, he got plenty of calls. I promise you. To me, that doesn't take away from the greatness. That's just kind of how things work.
They changed rules for Brady. So how can we be upset about what they do for Mahomes? The NFL is going to get their golden boy across the finish line if they can help it. And in order for you to stop it, you got to actually go in there and stop it. Did it take a miracle for the Giants to do it the first time? Yes. Unfortunately, my grandmother had died and her services were the Saturday before. So I didn't really watch much of the second time the Giants and the Patriots went head up. But I did watch when the Patriots lost to my Eagles and they were playing catch up the whole game. Only way to be able to do that is to get ahead and stay ahead and keep the throttle down. Eagles should have 2 Super Bowls. But what happened? We let Patty come out there the second half, and we tried to win a Super Bowl with field goals when you know Mahomes had to come out there and score touchdowns. Beat him. Beat him. If you're absolutely tired of it and you don't like to see the guy in the position, then have somebody put together a team that can beat him. Until you do, get used to seeing that light-skinned, curly-haired bastard up there holding the trophy. Just as long as they don't show his punk-ass brother standing on Sean Taylor's number again, I'll be all right.
It's crazy, though. It really is, because it seems like we're talking about the AFC a ton as well. We should. I guess I gotta ask for everyone left in the AFC, do the Texans really have a chance at this point? I kind of think they do, but last year they went into Baltimore and got absolutely smoked. I'm wondering if they're more battle tested than they were previously, but I believe they're going to Kansas City. But either way, super tough road game, younger team. But I want to give some props, man, to Mako Ryans. That guy needs to be talked about as one of the young elite coaches more than the credit we give him. That team is playing with their hair on fire. Their quarterback went into a little bit of slump this year, but shit, I would take D'Amico over almost all coaches in the league right now, and it's not even really a question to me.
I like D'Amico Ryans, and I like how whatever was said in that locker room before they went out there absolutely revived Houston because Houston looked like they were fluttering. And the Chargers have a really good defense. If there's one thing that we could say about Harbaugh, his teams are going to go out there and play hard. But then all of a sudden, that when you looked up again, that game was laughable and not even you didn't want to keep watching. You were ready for them to go on ahead and switch it over, just switch it over to Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Just they have a good defense. Their defense is finally healthy. Stingley deserves to be an All Pro. Say what you want to about cheap shotting Al Sayer, but even that guy has a very high football IQ and is almost like the Draymond Green of their defense. They have some really good guys in some really good positions, and we'll see how Ryans can try to coach them up. Do they have a puncher chance? You know, they're still professional athletes. They're not going out there just to lay down. They are going to have a shot to be able to do this. It's just, can you scheme to try to put your defense in a position where when your secondary has someone locked up, one of your linebackers has to be in a position where he could try to get his hands and a body on Mahomes when Mahomes goes for that back breaking 20-yard run at the end of the game that even when they play the Eagles in the Super Bowl just took the life out of it right there. They are going to have a puncher's chance. I definitely think that Stroud may be the man to be able to do it just because he's been playing in high profile games since he left Rancho Cucamonga to go up to Ohio State. We'll definitely see how it goes. Interesting fact that Tyson threw up. saying that the AFC as a whole regressed from last year in wins and losses, while the NFC improved. Um, the one thing that I would only throw up as a devil's advocate to that is the way that scheduling rotates constantly. Because if you finish number one, you play a majority of the number one teams in your non-conference, from what I understand. And if you finish in certain positions, they kind of match you up like that. And then you have outside of the natural rivalries that are built into your schedule every year. So I could definitely say that I felt the NFC teams had a little bit more of a cupcake padded schedule, just looking at who played who and who played what. You know, the Vikings are 14-3, and their best win is the Packers. So while I understand what you're saying, I definitely do think that scheduling has something to do with it. Now, again, you can only beat who they put in front of you, because that happened to Philly with our number one seed the year we went to the Super Bowl. Was everybody was screaming, we had a cakewalk, but we also finished at the bottom of the barrel to playoff teams the year before, and that's just how the schedule happened to run out. But it takes a lot to be able to have that type of winning record in the NFL, because injuries can come through and kill you no matter who you're playing. If you are playing Cupcake U every week, if you don't have guys healthy enough to be able to go out there and run the schemes and perform, you could have an easy schedule and still end up like the Cowboys did this year.
And sometimes I think it matters how shitty some of your teams are. Because I brought it up just now because I really feel that Kansas City, Baltimore, and Buffalo all have really, really real chances of winning the Super Bowl this year. And they're so much better than some of their competitors. Look at this, RG. There's 6 teams in the league with 4 wins or less, and 5 of them are AFC. So there are some really dreck of the league in that conference. While the top of it is fantastic, they also have some of the shittiest teams by far. So we can weigh out that the bottom of that conference is dragging that down. But it is kind of interesting though, because just in your mind's eye, I'm thinking the AFC is better. I don't think my Seahawks, 10-7 record, they don't feel like a 10-win team in the AFC just from my eye test. So it's just interesting how these things play out.
Here is, but there's a reason why you have to line up every Sunday, and any given Sunday, anybody could beat anybody. It's just such a good time to be a fan of the NFL and college football.
Oh, for fuck's sake, the Seahawks fans know that. Losing to the Giants at home, literally the difference. A 3-win New York Giants team. They came all the way to Seattle and took our lunch. So you're right. And that's why it's the most popular show on TV, is that any given Sunday, even the very worst team can play with the best team. And that's why everyone loves it so much.
Tell you, man, like I said, I like to throw something every now and then on a little something, something. And if you happen to live like me, where you like to throw something on a little something, something, you know that you know that the odds of a team that had that's a negative that's a 500 morning line favorite can also get just destroyed and blown out, man. And even through all this talk, we haven't given the Lions any love in this conversation. And I definitely think that what they've been able to do with 27 players on the injured list is absolutely amazing. Some of their shine got taken away when, Allen went in there and put up 40 some odd points on them. But still, just the way that Dan Campbell has that team buying into what he's selling. If we're not going to give Coach of the Year, how can you not give Coach of the Year to Dan Campbell? They have completely bought in. They have completely bought into his bite their kneecaps off mentality and next man up. Next man up.
For a franchise that has mostly been inept our entire life.
Absolutely.
I think the
Absolutely.
franchise matters to me at least, because not all franchises are the same. To do what he's done at fucking Detroit, you're right, and part of it's out of sight, out of mind. They didn't play this weekend. Everyone that played's on the top of my mind, but you're right. I mean, for God's sakes, they probably should have been in the Super Bowl last year, minus a couple of really aggressive fourth down calls. They're a better team this year, so you're right. And for whatever it's worth, RG, the Seahawks have interviewed their offensive line coach to possibly be the new OC out here in Seattle. So, yes, teams have taken notice about what their coaching staff has done without question.
Yes, sir. Ben Johnson is probably the hottest candidate in free agency as we wrap up the season. And it'll be interesting to see where he gets some looks at. But I did also hear someone throw up a very interesting tidbit that just because you're a hot offensive coordinator and you end up going to a team that's looking for you to be able to rebuild, he gets to run his scheme with Jared Goff, who is a seasoned professional quarterback, compared to trying to get him to Chicago, where he's going to have to get a undeveloped rookie like Caleb Williams to be able to perform at the level that Jared Goff does to run their offense. Are you really able to do that? Or are you better off taking a job that has a quarterback that has some longevity beside of him so that curve isn't as long as it is if you were trying to turn a rookie into a great?
You know, the thing with
So
me and the
just some things
Lions,
to look at.
I like that you gave Jared Goff some props because he gets forgotten through a lot of this. And part of it's because he's just such a traditional quarterback. You're not going to see him make unbelievable plays the way a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen can. But you know what? We talk about managing the game. We talk about execution. That is Jared Goff. And I'm going to say this right here. I don't know if they're going to win the Super Bowl necessarily, but if they can keep Goff upright for the entire run, I bet you they probably win it all. The only way you're going to take out Detroit is if you can move Goff off his spot on a consistent basis. And that's why I always look for pass rushes. We both know the great equalizer in these matchups is, do you have a pass rush that can frazzle a great quarterback?
True. Very true. Checking in here with the chat real quick. Will the Lions' thin depth ruin their Super Bowl hopes? A game like the Eagles Packers, where multiple guys go down, could kill their chances. And that is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. If they get in a position where they're having to run out third and fourth string guys to be able to take over for starters in critical situations, could absolutely blow it up. The only thing that I would say is that since they've been playing with so many guys hurt already, so many of those other guys are getting reps. So game speed should be used to them already because they're performing when they shouldn't be performing because they are already having to step up instead of preparing to wait to see what can happen. Tommy says Goff also threw 5 picks. Remind me who won that game that he threw 5 picks in. You know, if Eagles had a game where the Washington Commanders had 5 turnovers and that game kept us out of first place because of an injury to Jalen where our offense became one dimensional and they were just able to zoom in on it. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, and we can spin the block and circle around. Yeah, I think that speaks volumes of the defense, not Goff. Hey, yeah, you could be right. You could be right too, but we also credit we also got to give credit to the guy who ended up winning the game. They do. Winners win. Absolutely. Winners win. Winners win. Don't know if I could have said that better myself. Now, um, yeah, absolutely. That's a fair response. Fair response. But again, that's the beauty of why we play the game, because you just never know. You just absolutely never know. And like Scott Van Pelt likes to say, you have to sign up for all 60 minutes.
I like that. I like that. And here's another thing. You said puncher's chance for Houston going into Kansas City. Houston does have that prerequisite if you want to try to knock off the Chiefs. They do have a damn good pass rush. If you don't have a damn good pass rush, I don't give you any chance in hell, but that's absolutely what they have. That's how they force Goff to throw 5 picks, because if he's able to play his game, he's surgical with the bitch, so all sorts of ways to look at it. Crazy exciting weekend. And we desperately need it, man, because I can't. I mean, I should be used to it by now. Alex Bregman's still sitting out there. The Mariners still ain't doing shit. So I'm just so glad we have such a wonderful month of football right now, because Lord knows I'm about to go crazy with the lack of activity for the M's, but that's why we got other things we can turn our attention to, and it's for the better.
Absolutely, man. Like I told you when we were in the off chat this week, the Mariners finally made 2 moves. They made 2 moves to see if the Modesto Nuts can win another championship. Nothing to help the big, nothing to help the big club. It was like these are 2 guys you'd have to Google, and even Google's going to hit you with the Conor McGregor and ask you who the fuck are those guys. Yeah,
Who the fuck?
who the fuck is that guy? Yeah, man, but it definitely, while our beloved Mariners are making us frustrated, the NFL and college is definitely giving us a lot to talk about.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Did you happen to check out any of the All Pro selections as they came out? First team.
A little bit, and I'm gonna get on my Homer train right away. Leonard Big Cat Williams for the Seahawks got hosed. I'm not necessarily surprised by any stretch of the imagination, but that dude is literally one of the best players in football this year, hands down. But you got to see these guys play, so I'm not going to trip over it. And there's a lot of deserving candidates. This is the NFL, and the top of the league is filled with ballers, man. But what about your Eagles? Jalen Carter got first team, I think, over my man Big Cat.
No, Chris Jones did. Look
Chris
down.
Jones did? Okay.
Yeah, man.
There we go.
Chris Jones did. The one that was shocking to me was Lane Johnson being left off that list. Lane Johnson being left off the first team. Dude did not give up a sack all season. Lane Johnson being left off was the one that was atrocious to me.
And they have a 2,000-yard rusher.
And a 2,000-yard rusher. 9 running backs in the history of the NFL. 2,000 yards. This guy is the anchor of the line who's able to do that and just didn't get the love from it. But I'm not mad at Penny Sewell for being up there. I don't really have too many major gripes with it. I would just say for Lane Johnson, the best way to get that get back is just to help keep Jalen's jersey clean. And if we can help Jalen keep his jersey clean, there's a good chance we're playing in February.
I'm jealous of you right now, man. I ain't gonna lie. I'm a jealous mofo with you right now, because it's really fun when you know your team has a chance. There is the possible heartbreak, though. But what is it they say? It's better to love and lost than never to love at all. So I'm a ride with that. I'm willing to get my heart broken.
You got to be here to get it. I had a friend in my Discord.
I'm a fucking Mariners fan. I'm used to my heart being broken.
We're used to it. We're used to it. We're used to playing 161 games and then coming to find out that 162 is worthless. We've been there time and time again.
Time out, man. You want to hear this stat for the Seattle sports teams? So in the last 2 seasons, the Seahawks have come up 1 game short in both seasons. In the last 2 seasons, the Mariners have come up 1 game short each season. We are so close, but never gonna score. Beavis and Butthead, we're never gonna score. Oh, man.
Oh, man. Oh, man. He had to hit me with the Beavis and Butthead on that. Yeah, man. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, but it's the reason why we watch, to see if this is the season why we finally get over the hump. But also, too, and we are Mariner fans, and this is a Mariner centric podcast when baseball season starts. How can you not make a move to ensure that that doesn't happen when you have the resources to be able to do it? You're just asking for gluttony.
And if I'm Jerry, front me some money. Front me the double Mitch, which is off the books next year. Front the GM some money, damn it, Stanton. Give him a front, man. He's gonna make that money back. He's gonna be good for it. He's not gonna be smoky at the ice cream truck trying to do that kind of shit. I promise you, Jerry will be good for it, man. Just front us the money and we'll get it back later, man. It's frustrating. I still feel that there's gonna be a move in maybe a couple of weeks. The Jorge Polanco move didn't happen until late January. The Mariners are in a situation financially where they have to wait until teams miss on all their free agent targets and then get to try to pounce on a team that's desperate. But god damn it. Oh, I love this, man. Guys are looking up the stats. Big Cat Williams, I'm going to just say it like this. I went to the Arizona game from an amazing birthday present from my wife, me, my brother, my friend, and his son. And I've been to countless LOB era games. I've never seen a singular Seahawk dominate the way Big Cat Williams did when Arizona came to town. This dude is fantastic. Not all guys develop or pop at the same speed, I would say, but Big Cat Williams is finally looking like that top 10 pick he once was.
You gotta love watching someone be able to grow into his own. And I cheer every week for Jalen Carter because of that. I hated how that guy was trashed coming into the draft. And yes, he was part of a decision that helped cost two people their lives, but also at the same decision, those two people were adults. They got in the car and they decided to try to race too. So that's not all entirely his fault. It takes two to tango. And thank God, because of the destroy you machine that the NFL has in place for some things like this, he fell into a perfect spot that he gets to play with half the guys he went to Georgia with on our defense as well too, and is paying dividends for him. As much as I love Jordan Davis, Jalen Carlin might end up winning some lineman awards before he does, and I couldn't be happier for him.
So here's the thing, too, is we know during the draft process, the NFL tries to dive so deep into who the person is. And Carter was criticized in the draft process for being overweight, apathetic, sad, disinterested. His mind was somewhere else. Well, it fucking should be. Like, think about it as a person, RG. What he went through, he's street racing his friend. His friend in the passenger passed away in said street race. If he was happy-go-lucky and didn't have a care in the world and was completely locked into football, I'd be a lot more worried about him as a person if he was like that, rather than a decent human being would be really crushed and really deeply affected at whatever profession they're trying to achieve in. It would definitely seep into that. And I think they looked at it the wrong way, when to me, at the human aspect, it's normal for a human to have the sort of emotions, I would say, that he did. It would be a way bigger issue if he acted like nothing did happen.
You'll look into the Jalen Carter's morals, but you'll let Daniel Snyder run the team for 20 fucking years. You'll overlook into Jalen Carter, but you'll let Jim Irsay go out and get as many DWIs as he's got. Nothing's wrong with his character, as long as that check shows up.
Yeah. Well, we know the money matters in this world,
Absolutely.
So we don't need to dive too into it, but it always matters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh man, just sitting here looking up at some of these highlights between the last game of the evening going on right now between Washington and Tampa. And I can tell you, if you have not been watching, we aren't going to hold you too much longer so you can go and enjoy this. The battle between Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore is real. Is absolutely real. I'm not gonna ruin any of it for you. I'm gonna let you go out and check some of these highlights, man. But yeah, man, we'll let you guys get to it there for the second half, starting here in a couple minutes. But yeah, Marshawn Lattimore and Mike Evans, the battle's real.
It is. What a treat for all the fans, man, to have those two end up in the playoff game together after being traded out of the division. Treat for the fans.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We would be remiss to keep carrying on in this conversation without acknowledging what's going on in Southern California right now with the wildfires and the people whose lives have been affected by it, sending out our prayers to those affected. I've heard a couple different things that just make me uneasy. And I do know something about the Southern California area, spending some time, a lot of time there in my youth and adolescence, just because it's in a specific part of town where you have to have a certain level of income to live in that part of town doesn't make you less than a human being than the next man is. When you hear about the mistake that was made with the water to allow the firemen a chance to be able to help battle that is absolutely fucking atrocious. Whether you're a millionaire or you're poor, that should never happen. That's just bad planning. Um, Prayers to those people. Prayers to those people. If you got family out there that's been affected, we hold them in prayer. Do what you can to try to help somebody. Prayer is the best way to help if you can't financially help them. But yeah, man, just want to send our love and condolences to the people who had lives affected. I get the whole eat the rich mentality that's gone on, especially after the United Healthcare thing. But we're all in here together. Having us having a conversation about sports is better the more people are in it instead of the less people that are in it. So just show some love for your fellow man. That's all we ask. Tyson Baxter, I'm glad I found this channel. Every Sunday are you live? Hey man, as long as God's willing to let us be here, that's our plan moving forward. Sometimes work does take the precedent of it, but hey, we'll always try to be here for it. And if you can't, the recordings of this podcast also come out, and we'll get to that in the closing here in just a little bit. Ty, you got anything else for the people?
Just really well said, man. And we all have our differences and our thoughts about how some of the wealthy people in this world live, but it does. It all comes back to being human. And that was honestly, I'll be an open book. That was one of the first things I told my wife. I was like, I mean, I guess it's better that this happened in a rich neighborhood than the hood, but that's neither here nor there. People are people, and look at us, man. We're the odd couple, and we vibe wonderfully. This shit don't matter as long as you're willing to have an open heart and an open mind. You'll find so much good out there. It's the news channels, it's the internet, it's being able to honestly be able to say shit on a keyboard because you're not afraid to get your ass kicked. That's why people get so bold on the keyboard. Whatever happened to being scared about getting your ass kicked? There's a reason I'm a polite person 99.9% of the time, man. But I just want to say thank you to everybody. And you said it so well. Just our thoughts and prayers to all the people. It's absolutely devastating. The pictures and the videos are unreal.
Yeah, man, it's unfortunate to see. It's unfortunate to see. You wouldn't want it to happen to you. And just not everybody who lives up in those part of towns did what the next man did to be able to get there. Some of them are good, honest people, just who got in a position to be able to provide better for themselves. Let's not wish will upon everybody just because of the sin of the few. Yeah, man. So we'll be here next Sunday night to be able to give our picks out for Championship Monday. You can tell by that ugly ass hat that Tyler has on who he's going with. I'm going for the upset because if there's anything in this world I do not want to happen, is for his wife to be happy. Absolutely. Peace, love, and the Mariner spending money is all the world needs. Well, we'll get two of the three. I'll let you pick out which two you want. Oh, man. My oh my, it's another sports podcast coming to you live each and every Sunday over the airways of YouTube and Twitch. We thank everybody for rocking with us in the live chat tonight. Be sure to follow us on our socials at MyOhMyASP. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Facebook, MySpace, Tinder, OnlyFans. If they ever get rid of Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker, me and Tyler will be Rush Hour 5 coming to a theater near you. Oh, man. Again, a big shout out to those of you rocking with us in the live chat. This isn't possible without you. If you are not able to be a part of the live chat, My Oh My is another sports podcast can be found where you like to get your favorite podcast from. Episodes are available every Monday night. Big shout out to our social media director, Katie Matsumoto, for being able to do what she does to get the word out to you. And thank you for all her hard work. Vaden Podcast Services is the one who puts us on and makes us sound like $1,000,000. Big shout out to them. Our super producer, Indy, coming to you live from Nashville. Check out his music page, Death to Indy, on YouTube. Got some good tracks up there. Holla at him. As always, we welcome any of you in the live chat to come hop on here and be a part of the show with us. Shout out to Jerry B6 listening to you wherever you are, man. Again, we'll be here each and every Sunday night to chop it up, have some crazy talk, some crazy exploits, laugh at each other a little bit. The world, hey, nothing is more important in this world than the people that are in it. And me and Ty are just here to spread good vibes. That's the homie Ty Talk 24 from Little Lake Stevens, Washington. Shout out to our super producer, Indy, rocking from Nashville. I'm your boy RG from the Down and Dirty 505, baby. Cinco Cero Cinco in the building. We'll see you next week for each and every week for another live episode of My Oh My. It's another sports podcast.